Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise unto our power, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Ruach HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four winds of the earth that believe wholeheartedly in the true doctrine that is being pushed throughout the four winds of the earth, who are in hope of mercy and salvation during the time of Jacob's trouble, as well as when Yahweh Shai returns to the planet Earth. To you, and to you only, I say Shalom. And may Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai continue to rain down grace and mercy upon you and your households. All right. This video here, I was sitting here listening to this video. I got about 9 minutes in, and Spirit said, just go ahead and hit record and speak about this real quick. I'm here on Before It's News, and I was captured by this title, but then I read this here. It says former Bush, well, the title is Trump and Company Going Underground for Planned Catastrophe, and it's dated Monday, December 22nd, which was earlier this week, of course. It says former Bush administration official Catherine Austin Fitts, which this woman, she's been blowing the whistle on this digital prison that's being erected right before the people's eyes, and she's been speaking about this. All right, she calls it a digital concentration camp. That's what she calls it. She's gonna explain a little bit here in the beginning of this video, and then I'm gonna fast forward it to about 9 minutes. But it says former Bush administration official Catherine Austin Fitts on how America's leaders gave up on the country in the 1990s, began stealing trillions, and built a digital prison to control the population. This may be Tucker Carlson's biggest interview to date. Now, the digital prison that she's talking about, if you can't see that digital prison is right before your eyes, then you're totally lost. All right, they got everybody using digital money, whether you want to or you don't. All right, majority of people pay their bills digitally. Okay. When you go to certain restaurants, coffee shops, they don't take cash, period. When you want government aid, it's all done by way of a card, which eventually will turn to that MOTB, the RFID technology. So everybody is speaking of this digital prison that's being erected, but somehow you other Israelites can't see it. Only thing you can see is that the heathen can make it. You know, the heathen are gonna get glorified bodies. The heathen this, the heathen that. You've totally taken your eye off the prize, so to speak. In order for you to rub elbows with Esau Edom, that's gonna do nothing more but to kick your ass right to the curb when he's done with you. All right. So without any further ado, I want to play this of her explaining. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start it from the beginning because he highlights a couple of points in this interview, which we understand and believe that this man here is controlled opposition, just like Candace Owens, All right. Hell, even this woman, Catherine Fitz, she could be controlled opposition. All right. Because these people are speaking points of truth. Right? They're speaking these points of truth, but they aren't marrying them to the Bible. All right? So let's let this play.
The U.S. economy and financial system is the leader globally in laundering dirty money. I said to this wonderful group, let's pretend there's a big red button up here on the lectern, and if you push that button, you can stop all hard narcotics trafficking tomorrow. Who here will push the button? And out of 100 people dedicated to evolving our society spiritually, guess how many would push the button?
I don't know.
One.
You suggested the control grid is in part designed to manage the population.
So if you want to move people to a much lower economic footprint, having complete control is obviously very convenient.
Okay, so the bottom line is the majority is about to get a lot poorer.
So the question is, where's all this money going? And one of the things I've looked at is the underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built.
What would be the purpose?
I think if you're worried about a near extinction event.
And that's basically where this title comes from, this heading, you know. But anyway, let's listen. All right. Like I said, I didn't get all the way through it. I just got to about the first 10 minutes.
So thank you for doing this. You get, I know you worked on this for years, but you get the sense, if you're just a sort of aware person, that there is a concerted attempt by governments around the world to digitize commerce and to digitize currency and to basically control people through money.
Correct.
And that's the bottom line point of Revelation 13 chapter 16, 17 verse, and even on down. All right? You can't be controlled like these other groups be saying. The mark is spiritual. Okay? Can't be controlled that way. You can be controlled by them taking control of your monies. All right? Control of your bank account. All right? Well, you won't be able to spend your money in your bank account because you're not participating in the technocracy or the digital identification, all right, which will eventually turn to the MOTB, which is the RFID technology. That's how you're going to be able to control people, all right? When people won't be able to access their money. This is why the scripture says, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Right? That they, matter of fact, let me get it. Okay? Because the key point is buying and selling. You can't buy and sell with anything spiritual, like these other groups be saying, these sellouts. Because it's starting to be made very clear that you guys have been compromised. Okay? Right? And that no man might buy or sell. All right? You won't be able to purchase without this mark. So it can't be something spiritual. It got to be something physical. Okay? And this woman here, she's an insider. She knows what's going on. And she's been speaking about this. I first came across her after about 2020. All right? And she's been speaking about this digital prison. I'll back it up just a little bit more. Just so you can hear Tucker ask the question.
But thank you for doing this. You get, and I know you worked on this for years, but you get the sense, if you're just a sort of aware person, that there is a concerted attempt by governments around the world to digitize commerce and to digitize currency and to basically control people through money.
Correct.
That's correct. So that was my first question. Is this happening? Am I imagining it?
It's absolutely happening. And what's important to understand, it's been happening for a long time. In other words, this is like an invisible corral that
Gradualism. All right? Gradualism. I remember going back to the 90s, the government aid, you would get physical food stamps, to where when you go spend them food stamps in the store, you would get actual cash back. If you had the change that you would get from spending those paper food stamps, you would get cash back. They would give you actual cash. I remember that. All right? And then once they got rid of the stamps, what did they start giving out? These SNAP cards. Okay? Then you started to have, around the same time, these bank cards, debit cards. All right? Now you can pay with your phone. Okay? And then next up is going to be the digital ID. And then the RFID micro C-HIP. All right?
been building around you for a long, long time. Because how do a few sneak up on the many? Well, you have to do it very quietly and visibly before you throw the trap.
Smart.
So essentially what they're building, because it's converting a currency system into a control system. So it's really the end of currency. And what they're doing is they've been building the different digital pieces. And when it integrates and comes together, then you literally have a digital concentration camp. It's complete and utter control.
Otherwise known as the world.
Here's the thing to understand. You and I grew up in a world where there was mass media, where you were pitching stories, so you had 57 varieties of ice cream and you're pitching them to 57 different niches, but you're still pitching to mass audiences. What we're talking about is a system where you can surveil, control, and influence one person at a time. And with AI and software, each person can have their custom surveillance, influence, nudging, and control system.
And punishment.
Yes. Enforcement.
Because ultimately, if you control money, you can starve people to death. You can kill them.
Right. So go back and think of the pandemic. So if I say you can't go more than a mile from your home, and I say you have to be mandated a pharmaceutical, then if you don't take the pharmaceutical, I can turn off your money. If you go more than a mile away from your home, your money and your credit cards won't work. So whatever rules I lay down, there's a wonderful example. The head of the Bank of International Settlements is the central bank of central banks. And it's been running the process to implement basically an all digital monetary system. And they have innovation hubs all over the world. They've been running this process for a long time. And in 2020, when the pandemic started, or it was October 2020, so the pandemic was underway, the general manager of the Bank of International Settlements was on an IMF panel. And in 1 minute, it's the first time in my life I ever saw a central banker tell the truth. I fell off my chair. And he said, the beauty of this is we can set the rules on how your money works, and we have the technology to enforce them. And what he was saying is literally from one place in, anywhere in the world where the technology exists, you can track each person individually. You can set a complex list of rules, like legislation, regulation, and administrative policy, and you can enforce them all with the technology, with AI and software. So,
again, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Just like she was saying, you can regulate each individual person with the technology itself. That's it. You know, they could set the rules. Okay? It's very clear where they're going. All right? It is very clear. And if you can't see it, you either sold out or you full of pride, because you can't be that stupid. You know? You can understand Hebrew. You know? You can look up words. You can do this. You can do that. You know? You understand, you know, you're an Israelite. But you can't see this digital prison that John the Revelator wrote about for us to have in these times, and we actually seeing it play out. No, you sold out, or you just full of pride. All right, but I would choose the latter. You sold out. You're told not to speak about it. Okay, because majority of those camps that don't speak about it, they're all under 501c3 charters. All of them. All right. They all do these community shits because they get grant money for it, right? They're all under the gag order of Esau Edom. That's why they don't speak about it, all right? And by the time when they do speak about it, it's going to be too late, all right? Because the system is going to be up and running. And you haven't built up your congregation to have rock solid faith when they do make it mandatory. Okay?
So, have you ever seen? There's a wonderful movie called the Lives of Others about the German Stasi and surveillance. It's about a group of artists and sort of creative, talented people who are under surveillance by the German Stasi. And you see what it's like to be under surveillance for 24/7. Think of each one of us. We're all under surveillance, not just by governments, but by corporations who are trying to do something. And it may not be anything nefarious. So 80 different companies are trying to sell you something. Or
that's happening now. You could be talking to a brother about dog food. You know, y'all could be brothers that's interested. You know, you have dogs. What you feed your dog, bro? This, that, and the third. You know, woo, woo, woo. And then you go to your phone, and now your phone is bringing up advertisement without you typing it in. It's bringing up advertisement on different dog foods. All right, we've all had that happen. Okay, you having a conversation about something. Your phone is spying on you, all right? And now they're trying to sell you exactly what you were talking about without you even putting it in the search bar on Google or Amazon. So the system is already in place, all right? The only reason these devils haven't fully implemented it is because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has to seal his servants. Let's get that. Let's get that real quick. Here in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 7. I'm going to start at 1. Key point is the 3rd verse. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And that's talking about the nuclear destruction, right? Because once they make this thing mandatory, all right, well, you're going to have to be, in order for you to operate in society, you will have to take that micro C-hip under your flesh, whether it's in your hand, whether they put it in your forehead, whether they put it in your arm, you know, wherever they may put it, in order to scan you, all right? In order for you to operate in society, you will have to take it. When they implement that thing, that's when things are going to move fast, all right? Okay? That's basically going to be the beginning of the countdown of Yahweh Shai's return and them nuclear missiles flying. And all hell will be done broke loose. All right? Verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Right? And that's what the nuclear missiles are going to do. The nuclear missiles are going to destroy Babylon the Great. It's going to dry up oceans. It's going to cause tsunamis. All right? It's going to destroy forests, trees. It's going to do some damage. And you got four angels who are in charge of allowing that to happen. All right? But the angel ascending from the east, right, having the seal of the living God, right, which the seal of the Most High is this truth. All right? This is the spiritual mark. This seal. All right? Having the seal of the living. Let's look up that word seal. Okay? As you get these guys be trying to say, this is the seal of God is the same thing as the mark. Or they'd go to Ezekiel 9 and say, this is the same. No, it ain't the same thing. Okay? Having the seal, the Greek word, Shrapis or Shragis. Let's see what it's Shragis. Let's let Esau pronounce it.
Strong's G 4973. Sfragis. Sfragis.
Right? Which means a seal, the seal placed upon books, a signet ring, right? But when you go to the ancient world, when letters were when letters were passed from kingdom to kingdom, you know, you didn't have cell phones where you could send a message. You would seal a letter. You write a letter and you would send a messenger, but on that letter you would have wax and you would seal it with your ring. All right? You would seal it. That wax will have your signet, right? It says 3. The inscription in the seal that we have is this truth. In the name of Yahweh, which is the Most High, and his only begotten son is Yahweh Shai. All right? Okay? It says the inscription or impression made by a seal of the name of God and the Messiah stamped upon their foreheads, right? And it's not going to be stamped. It's going to be in our minds, all right? It says that by which anything is confirmed, proved, authenticated as by a seal, a token, proof, right? And this is the type of seal when you read in Ezekiel the 9th chapter, the Thawa, all right? Because that seal is going to exempt us from judgment, okay? Because that's what the word seal mean, or mark in Ezekiel the 9th chapter, all right? To be made exempt from the judgment that's coming. And the ultimate judgment are those nuclear missiles, all right? And this is why the angels had to hold back them four winds until the elect were sealed with the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and of course this truth. All right? Once they get sealed with that, then once all of the elect are sealed, then the four winds are going to blow on the earth and the destruction will come. Okay? Which we believe we're very close to that happening. All right? Here in the Strong's definition, a signet as a fencing in, a protecting from misappropriation, okay? To be exempt from judgment. Let's get that in Ezekiel 9. I'm going to pull up another blue letter. Right? Here we are at the end. You got all these insiders telling you we're at the end. And then she's going to even mention they want this done by 2030. But you got Israelites starting all over, trying to rewrite and reinvent the wheel. Ezekiel 9 and 4. Here we are. Ezekiel 9 and 4. And the Lord said unto me, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, which is our people. All right. Jerusalem's a people before it's a place. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Now that word mark here, like I said, the word thawa, right? Let's get it. Thawa, which means desire, mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. What does this definition say? That by which anything is confirmed. No, I'm sorry, it's down here. It says, as a fencing in or protecting from misappropriation. All right. So that's in essence the same thing as thawa, right? All right. To be exempt from judgment means you're protected. All right. To having the seal of the Most High, meaning you're protected from the judgment that's coming. Okay. And this is figuratively. All right. It could be literally and figuratively. Literally meaning you literally have this seal within your mind. All right. So which basically makes it figurative because it's not a physical thing. Okay. The seal of the Most High is not a physical thing. The seal of the beast is a physical thing. Okay. So, again, reading verse 3, or verse 2 again, back in Revelation. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Right? Meaning they're going to have the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. They're going to know those names. They're going to believe in those names. And they're also going to have this truth and knowledge to know not to take the RFID technology. All right? That's all a part of the seal of the Heavenly Father. For you to know not to take that micro C-hip. All right? When it's implemented. When they make it mandatory. Okay? But a lot of these other groups, they're not preparing their congregations to not take that seal or that to take that mark from the beast system. All right? From this digital prison, because they're not being they're not being warned of it. All right? They're telling you that the mark of the beast is a spiritual mark. It's sin. Which is all madness. It's bullshit, man. Okay? Back to the video. A little more.
80 different companies are trying to get your data for some reason. And so they have AI and software bots that track you and follow you and learn from you and try and influence what you do, because they're trying to extract some kind of value from you. And literally, think of, being attacked by a swarm of bees. We're surrounded now by a swarm of AI software bots, all trying to learn from us, extract something from us, or get us to do something. Now, when you go to an all-digital system, then there's no escape. And then they can start literally to enforce rules. They do now. So
what are the manifestations of this that maybe we're not paying attention to or don't perceive for what they are?
So look at what they did to the Canadian truckers. We don't like what you're doing. We cut off your money. And we cut off your friends' money. And if people help you, we cut off...
Let me type that in real quick. When she said it the first time I was watching it, I didn't... Okay, here we go. Their bank accounts. Let's see. And this goes back to 2022. Let's check that out. It says, yes, in February 2022, during the Freedom Convoy protest. Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that. You had a lot of those truckers up in Canada doing the convoy protesting against the tyranny, right? It says the Canadian government invoked the Emergencies Act, allowing banks and financial institutions to freeze the accounts of individuals and entities supporting the blockades, including some truck drivers, without a court order, impacting hundreds of accounts, to pressure protesters to disperse through these freezes were later lifted. Or so like though these freezes were later lifted. So they have that power already. All right? Everybody uses some form of digital banking. Okay? And like she said, with AI everywhere, cameras everywhere, when you try to protest against it, they're going to be able to pinpoint you with facial recognition, right? And find out exactly who you are. You at these protests, cut his bank account, cut his cards. Freeze it to where lock it. All right, and then when you go to, you sign the agreement when you downloaded the app that we have that power. If we see you in protests against whatever yada yada, we have that ability to lock you out of your account because you gave that away when you downloaded the app, or however they're gonna do it. Okay, so she's speaking what's really happening. Okay, and this is what the prophets have been warning. All right, and they called it the Emergencies Act. All right, what happened earlier this year in Vietnam? Right, you had over 80 million bank accounts frozen because the people were not with the digital identification. What's going on over in the UK right now as we speak? Massive protests because the people do not want to be involved with a digital currency. Okay, so all hell is getting ready to break loose. All right, and they gonna allow you people to protest, and then you're gonna get tired of protesting, and you're gonna give in. All right, these devils already got everything on lock. Okay, so that's what she was talking about. Let's go back.
Off their money too. So I've known so many different people around the country who've been debanked. We just got legislation passed in Tennessee that a bank over a certain size couldn't debank someone for political or religious reasons. And you're one of the things that's happening.
There's no such federal law.
And that's what's going to be happening based upon your beliefs, your political stance. They're going to be able to straight up control your finances. All right?
I know of, but I haven't looked. I've been working with the states because ultimately the one power currently under the Constitution in the United States that can stop this, the powers not delegated to the federal government by the states are reserved to the states. In other words, the states are technically more powerful than the federal government. And under the Constitution, they have the power to override the federal government on many different issues, including healthcare. And so one of the tensions we see in America is more and more there is a debate between the feds and the states about who has what power. So we've seen a lot of the conservative AGs and treasurers pushing back in a wonderful way, in a marvelous way. The challenge they have is this, and this was said to me by a senator in Northern Ohio. Northern Ohio has one of the best groups of sort of freedom-fighting legislators in the country. And as you probably know, because you know Montana, it's very beautiful. And
so what, Montana?
Idaho.
Idaho. Okay.
So, but it's right. It's right next to Montana. So, one of the Idaho senators said to me, he said, "My problem every time I fight to implement the Constitution," he said, What I learn is every year we send $1 to Washington, and every year Washington sends back $1.19. And when I say I want to implement the Constitution, my constituents say to me, I'd rather have the 19 cents.
Yeah.
So what we've been watching literally since World War II is the federal government and a very, largesse, both monetary and fiscal policy, buying people out of the Constitution and buying the whole the federal government is right now operating so far outside the law. It's, you know how unbelievable it is. So that's the challenge before us. If we want to be free, we're going to have to decide we're not going to let ourselves be, it's like being sort of walked into the slaughterhouse. We're not going to walk into the slaughterhouse. And
But you don't even.
And 2/3, let's get that in Second Ezra, right? 2/3 of you are being led as a flock to the slaughter, all right? And you could blame your those of you that know that you're Israelites, you can blame your leaders because they're not preparing you. Okay? Let's get that real quick. Second Ezra 15:10. All right? Majority of people have no, especially those that don't know that they Israelites, they about to walk right to the slaughterhouse. And then those of you that know, your leader is walking you directly to the slaughterhouse because he's not preparing you. He's not letting you know that these things are coming. But they're coming. They're not. Let me say that again. They're here. All right? They're already here. All right? Esau done already snuck up and put the digital fence around you. He just got to put the lock on. All right? It says, behold, my people are led as a flock to the slaughter. Okay? I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. All right? And that's talking about the elect. He's not going to suffer to dwell here. All right? The elect are going to call upon his holy name, and the elect will be delivered out of the snare of this goddamn devil. All right? As it is written in Psalms 91, that the Lord is going to deliver us from the snare of the fowler. All right? This digital prison is the snare. Okay? You get the you may sign up or get a new car loan or whatnot. First thing you get in the mail is for you to go paperless. Everybody wants you to go paperless. All right? Because the digital prison is already here. Okay? They just got to lock everybody into it. Just a little bit more of this. I think it's about 9 minutes and some change. And then I'll get out your hair. But let's listen a little more.
I guess what bothers me about it, there's something wonderfully straightforward, horrifying, but wonderfully straightforward about just a conventional invasion where people show up with guns and tell you what to do because at least you know who the enemy is. But there's something very scary in it.
And that's what Esau did before. That's how he used to operate. When he came over here to the Americas, when he came over here to the Northern Kingdom that was here, he showed up with swords, right? Musket guns and all that, pistols, and he claimed about peace, but then he showed that he was the enemy, right? Now they don't need to come that way. They come in a very subtle way, as it is written in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, right? How the serpent was more subtle than any beast that the Lord had created. They're coming in a very subtle manner, you know? And they're coming by way of in the form of digital enslavement, which the people don't even understand and know that they're about to be enslaved digitally, lest they truly believe in this word and ready to leave all this behind and wholeheartedly trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is what's coming. All right? And a lot of you better hope and pray your flight come not in the winter. All right? You know, like you just had this crazy ass rainstorm come through Southern California, man. Some shit I ain't never seen. I ain't never seen rivers on the side of the freeway like I saw. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what the? We in the end, man. We are in the end. Okay?
Way about being lulled into slavery.
Right. And the thing to understand about the lulling is the marketing plan works one person at a time. In other words, you know, you I buy with money, your friend I buy by knocking them off, for the other, you know, your other friend I get a control file on. So there are thousands of different ways of nudging, buying carrots and sticks to get everybody into the control, into the trap. And what is so insidious about this is much of the marketing plan is invisible, and it really is crafted one by one.
The odds seem overwhelming against the average person in a system that you just described. So, how far are we from not being able to exercise constitutional freedoms?
So, I don't know how many years. They're clearly pushing to have this done by 2030. And, you know, what I do have to say is if you look at what it takes to stop it, I believe they're going to fail. Now, what I don't underestimate is how much damage they could do. And the failure may not come in time to save America. So
if we just stop and define terms, who's they?
The central bankers.
Yes.
And she hasn't changed up her stance since she's been speaking about this. All right? You heard her, 2030, right? She says she don't believe they're going to succeed, which they won't succeed because it's prophecy, all right? The Lord's not going to allow them to succeed. Matter of fact, in the book of Job, all right, because this is their enterprise. Job 5:12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. They won't succeed. But like she said, they will do some damage. All right? And she said that America won't be destroyed. She don't know if America gonna make it. And America ain't gonna make it because America's gonna be destroyed. All right? So I got one more scripture I want to read in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter. Okay, so this devil is erecting this digital prison, thinking he's getting ready to enslave the Lord's people again. But he gonna fall right into his own pit that he's digging. All right, Ecclesiastes 10:8. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. So he think he finna put us in slavery. He gonna go directly into slavery. All right. And whoso breaketh in heads, a serpent shall bite him. Let's look up a quick precept from this real quick. Here we go. Psalm 7. Let me start at, I believe I could start at 14. Yep. Psalm 7:14, it says, behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief. All right? And brought forth falsehood. That's this devil, man. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. All right? Because this devil finna get real violent. All right? That's all he has left. Okay? They're using their weather weapons. They're getting real medieval. Okay? But at the end of the day, the same pit that they're digging for us to fall into, they will fall into. and the Lord will totally flip the roles. They going into slavery, and we gonna be on top. Thus saith the Bible. So with that, man, giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem Al-Shai. Lord will, this was edifying to the hopeful elect. And I'll place this link in the description box. If you want to finish watching it, I'm going to continue watching it. Maybe the Spirit has something else to bring out on this. But again, Lord will, edifying to the hopeful elect. And we on to the next. Shalom.